Hey everyone, welcome back to The Explainer. Today, we're diving straight into the absolute pressure cooker that is modern American public service. We're going to trace a direct line from some really acute physical dangers brewing abroad right into the intense and honestly pretty toxic rhetorical battles we're seeing right here at home. If you've ever wondered about the modern crucible that our political figures are operating in today, well, you're in the right place. Let's peel back the curtain and look at exactly what's happening behind the headlines.
Okay, so here's our roadmap for today. We're going to cover global threats and domestic divides, the plot against Ivanka, the IRGC's ongoing campaign, Gabbard's sudden resignation, the partisan reaction, and finally, the state of politics.
Let's kick things off with Section 1, Global Threats and Domestic Divides.
Moving into Section 2, the plot against Ivanka. So, recently, a truly chilling security alert came across the wires. It detailed an alleged assassination plot targeting the former president's daughter, Ivanka Trump. Basically, a suspected terrorist with direct ties to Iran was actively targeting her. Now, understanding the history of this suspect is absolutely crucial here. We're talking about an Iraqi national trained by the IRGC, that's the Iranian Revolutionary Guard Corps. And this guy is not a new player by any stretch. He's got a long track record of being involved in plotting and executing terror attacks on Jewish and American targets all over the globe, including some major incidents in New York, Amsterdam, and Belgium. The alleged motive for this specific plot, it stems all the way back to January 2020, right after the Trump administration killed Iranian military chief Qassem Soleimani. Fast forward to today, the suspect was finally tracked down and arrested in Turkey on May 15th. And the suspect allegedly made their intentions crystal clear. They reportedly told associates, and I quote, "We need to kill Ivanka to burn down the house of Trump the way he burned down our house." That phrasing directly frames this alleged plot not just as some random act of violence, but as a highly calculated, deeply personal retaliation for the death of Qassem Soleimani.
But honestly, what's truly mind-blowing about this threat is the specific language they used. Stating, "Neither your palaces nor the Secret Service will protect you," is terrifying all on its own. But then they add that they are, quote, "currently in the stage of surveillance and analysis." I mean, that shows a complete, calculated disregard for some of the best security details in the world. They weren't just throwing out vague threats online. They were actively studying vulnerabilities. This points to a highly sophisticated real-deal operation. Which brings us to Section 3, the IRGC's ongoing campaign. Now, the broader organization backing this alleged plot casts a really wide net. Security correspondents have been emphasizing that the Iranian Revolutionary Guard Corps maintains a consistent, calendar-driven threat matrix that absolutely does not stop at American political leadership. Their fundamentalist campaign extends right into the general civilian population, specifically targeting religious institutions like churches and synagogues. So this threat goes way beyond just a retaliation for Soleimani, right? It's a persistent structural danger to everyday Americans, basically as long as the IRGC remains funded and operational. All right, shifting gears entirely, Section 4, Gabbard's sudden resignation. So transitioning from these very real physical dangers abroad, we now turn to a profoundly personal domestic story that sparked immediate and intense political controversy. And there is just a jarring contrast here. The personal reality is that Director of National Intelligence, Tulsi Gabbard, resigned to care for her husband, Abraham, after he received a devastating diagnosis of a rare bone cancer. But almost instantly, the political spin from her critics framed her exit as a massive failure. They claimed she was entirely out of the loop on decision-making, that she was not in sync with the administration, and some even resorted to mocking her D&I title, saying it stood for Do Not Invite. Let's look closer at Section 5, the partisan reaction. The severity of the rhetorical attacks was just immediate. For instance, Neera Tanden, a former Biden official, posted online in the immediate wake of the news that Gabbard, quote, "violated every principle she ever held as a leftist for power, and 18 months later, total fraud." As we can see, critics instantly launched into severe character attacks, literally within minutes, rather than acknowledging the severe health crisis happening in her family. And this criticism extended right up to prominent political figures as well. Representative Adam Schiff stated, "While it's worth our sympathy, the only positive effect to our national security is her resignation." The broadcast also noted that Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer made comparable remarks, essentially combining a brief passing moment of sympathy with immediate political opportunism and a sharp critique of her civil service record. This leads us to our final point, Section 6, the state of politics. So how exactly did we get to a point where a spouse's rare bone cancer diagnosis triggers instant partisan warfare?
Well, commentators break this down to our current self-gratifying social media ecosystem. Pundits and politicians are basically trapped in this endless race to say the spiciest thing the literal second news breaks. There seems to be a complete inability among political figures to just take a beat, to pause and separate a genuine personal tragedy from policy critique. Ultimately, what this reveals is a truly poisonous political climate, where basic human empathy gets sidelined just for the sake of scoring rapid-fire political points.
As we wrap up this explainer, I want you to really consider this question. When public service means facing highly organized global terror threats from groups like the IRGC, and at the exact same time dealing with an unrelenting, deeply poisonous domestic political vitriol that attacks you even in moments of family tragedy, who is going to be willing to serve next? If stepping into the political arena guarantees you'll be facing both deadly foreign plots and vicious domestic rhetoric, how does that shape the future character and quality of our nation's leadership? It's a heavy, vital question to think about. Thanks so much for joining me today, and I'll catch you on the next explainer.